Hello and welcome to Hobby Vlog number 165, and it is New Year's Eve as I'm recording this. As you can hear from my voice, I've come down with something. Last couple of days I've been pretty sick, but I'm powering through, and I didn't want to fail to get a vlog live just because I'm feeling ill, so I'm going to get this intro and outro recorded and then edit the video for tomorrow. I've had a better week in terms of getting things done. I've started a couple of new projects. And I'm getting a lot of excitement going for SBG again. So any SBG fans out there, there's a whole load of that content coming and started to come today in this video. So yeah, I'm just going to crack that on now, wrap this intro up. Thank you very much for watching. Do leave comments below. I love reading them, they really inspire me. And I hope you have a fantastic new year. And here's to 2023. Well, it's the very end of Christmas Day. And it's been an absolutely wonderful day. Rosie has enjoyed every second of it. She's got some awesome presents, as has Angela, and have I. So these are my hobby-ish or hobby-related, and you'll see at the top. Fantastic. Angela knows me so well. You can never have too many clamps, and now I've got even more clamps. So that's a really cool present. So that was really good. They'll go onto the shelves here and be used. Rosie picked me up some coloured glue sticks. So now I'm going to think of something to do. I'm actually going to have to buy a new glue gun because I don't think these are thick enough for my glue guns. So I have to buy another one. But me and Rosie will be able to do some hobbying with these. So that's what the plan is for that. So that's really cool. I got some butter stollen to keep me going. From my mother, I got this, which is the A1H Sky Raider. Now this is going to go with the H-34A helicopter UH-34, which for a diorama or something I want to do around Mac v SOG, because I've been reading a lot about them, and I have many books I've been reading, one of which is even to hand, randomly. There we are, John Stryker Meyer, very inspirational. And these planes, through close air support and kept many of them alive when they wouldn't have gotten out without the air support that these incredible aircraft provided. So my mother picked me one of these up, so thank you, Mum. And that will be onto the channel at some point this coming year when I do that diorama. And last but not least, I know that Green Stuff World is a little bit, well, it's been controversial for a while. It's even more controversial now. However, Angela got me this, which is wonderful. I did want a new painting lamp downstairs. So I'm going to go right now after I film this and set this up. And I will show you what it looks like when it's done. So this is an hobby arch, which will go over the top of my painting area and give me some really good visibility. So yeah, 50,000 hours or 50,000 hours. So that should last a while. I have to work out how long that is, but yeah. So yeah. Pretty pleased with my little haul. I do love Christmas, particularly now with Rosie. I hope that all of you got some wonderful gifts. Do let me know in the comments below what you got. I'd love to hear. So yeah, any hobby related gifts you got, do drop them in the comments below. And yeah, happy Christmas. By the time you see this, it'll be New Year. But from me today on Christmas Day, happy Christmas. And there we are, there it is in place. So I am going to release a video very soon actually, maybe even before the vlog, showing the assembly process and giving some feedback and thoughts on this. But my initial thoughts are very good, apart from the clips all fell out. So there we are, but it's on the table. I think it's brilliant, and yeah, check my other video out, which will talk in a bit more depth about it. But yeah, really happy with that. Thank you, Angela, if you ever watch this, much appreciated. And as I say, apart from Green Stuff World being a little bit controversial right now, I would recommend this product, I think. So it's been a few days with Christmas. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start to paint over the sand with this reddish brown paint, which I've also mixed with some PVA just to give it a little bit more sticky, and a little bit of dish soap as well. So it's the same recipe as I used for all of my terrain paints. I'm going to do the best I can not to get any paint on the wood, just to paint the sand. And this will be the last touch of doing this, the base.
unless I decide to do what I normally do, which is put a daffodil on. There's a daffodil on every one of these dioramas I've done. So yeah, I might do that, but I'm probably not going to put any grass or anything at all on it. So this will take a little bit of time, so I'll turn the camera off. There's no point in you watching me do this. You've seen it all now. I'm just going to be working away to try to cover over all of the sand colour with this nice rich reddy brown. So there we are. Well, I've set the Cricut up just now, and I'm about to do the test cut, which is going to be a sticker, I think. I say in Cricut. I did think this would come with a cutting mat, which is what I saw on when I was looking at it, but it doesn't seem to have come with a cutting mat, which is a bit of a shame. So I might have to order that, because I think that I really would prefer that. I think it's going to make it more. It's going to mean that the blade going through is not going to touch the plastic or anything like that. So I'm going to have to place an order for that and get that in. But I'm about to press go. You can see the big flashing button. So yeah, press go, see what happens. And if we quickly go over to my very messy desk, you can see on Design Maker it says cut in progress. It does when it's focused anyway. So there we are. I will report back when that's finished. It's not very quiet, but I did know that. That goes quite quick. Quite zooms around, doesn't it? So yeah, I'll report back and show you what it looks like when this test cut is done. And yeah, no idea. Is it done? Goodness me, that's done. Don't have to report back. It's finished it. Unload. There we are. And if I hold that so that I can see it anyway. It's very hard for you to see. Yeah, so I think now I should be able to peel off. I was doing this on shaky cam, because I didn't think it was going to take very long. Well, I thought it was going to take longer than that. So if I now try and do this with one hand, peel that off, you can see, there it is, Cricut. Not perfect though. It's a bit of a shame. I think I just broke the vinyl because I was being a bit clumsy. So there we are. That was a shorter video than I expected. That's working. So I do have something I want to print, want to cut out for my TCU challenge, but I'm not going to do that tonight because it's late. I'm about to go to bed. I'll do that tomorrow. But I'm very pleased to have found the time to set this up. It's a really simple process. You just turn it on, plug it in. You download the software if you've got it all installed already. It guides you through in a very nice little wizard, and you end up with this. So there we are. Cool. Oh, with the castle getting so close to completion, pretty much done. What I've done, and this was based on a recommendation by a viewer, and I can't for the life remember who it was, and I will try to remember to go back through the comments and find out, but whoever it was, thank you very much for making this suggestion. These are the figures that I bought for Rosie, so she'll be able to play on the castle, and the suggestion was to base them with some washers. So I've gone to Sigmar, which is my local hardware shop of preference, and I've picked up a couple of different sizes, and I think they're actually going to be okay. So these smaller ones, you can see, are going to work very well for the little upright figures, and these bigger ones are going to work slightly less well, but well enough for the horses. So I'll probably glue them with the back 3 legs on like that, and then just have the front leg going over the front. But what I need to do before I do anything, and this is what I'm going to do now without Rosie here, because this is a bit of a dull task and I wouldn't want to ask her to do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put, and I've done this on the channel before, but it was a long time ago. So we're going to take some masking tape, and I'm going to stick these washers to the masking tape like so. I'm going to need to get some more masking tape, And then I'll cut that out, get my knife, slice between each. And what this will do is it will give us a base so that when I'm gluing it on and putting any basing material or whatever I am, it won't be able to go through. So yeah, it's a bit of a dull task, but it's also quite quick. So I'll just get this done. Fun enough, probably once this is all dried and what have you, you can actually remove the masking tape from the bottom of the washer if you wish. But if you can manage to get it to stay, it will also just prevent scratching if it ever gets put down on like something that's important. Then it'll prevent scratching happening to any tables or whatever. So yeah, so I'm just going to get that done. Dull task. I'm going to try and get as many of these stuck on as I can. I don't know that I've got sufficient washers, so I'll just use all the washers I've got. And then with Rosie, we will work together to stick our figures onto each of these washers and then prime and paint them, and I'll try and get that done with Rosie because that's what this is all about. But for now, yeah, it's just going to be this boring process, so I won't bother filming the rest of it. You've pretty much seen everything now. I will bring you back when we're ready to actually do the gluing. Well, against all the odds, this actually just balances, which is really good news. So I have made a little change as to where the eagle is sitting, and I think it is going to be better. So what I'm going to do is I've just got my super glue, and I'm going to bob a load of super glue on the claws like this, and then oh, you can see that. That's good. There we are. And then I'm going to set this in place. And I am going to clamp, because as you know, can never have too many clamps, and having so many clamps I really need to use them. So that will clamp in place and that will go off quite quickly. What I then want to do, when I said go off quite quickly, I didn't mean it to spoing off like that. That made me jump. Let's do that again. There we are, that should be right. And then I'm not totally sure whether I'm going to stick with this figure on top of the eagle or not, because I do still have the other two. I've not painted them, but I'm not sure whether I prefer this one. So I might go paint her. I think I might prefer her. So I might go paint her and then check out what that looks like. So I'll probably paint her tonight. Check out what that looks like, just make a difference. But I just think that looks a little bit of a better result than the other one, and then we'll pretty much be done. I am thinking about putting some writing or something along here, or it is quite a lot of bare here, but maybe I can put some other figures on over time and build this up a little bit more. But I'm very, very happy with the tree and with the eagle, and like I say, I'm going to paint the other figure, and I think that will end up being what it looks like. So pretty much finished. Right then, let's get into this. Right on Christmas Eve. It's now several days after, 27th I think. So I have been busy obviously with awesome family things, but now I've got a little bit of time to open it up. So let's get the single-use plastic out of the way, which as you know I love so much. There we are. What is inside the box? A lot is inside the box. So we have, I mean, it's a bit silly really getting this because I have so many Gondorians. It's incredible, but we also have what it looks like a bunch of Rangers, so that's pretty cool. And then Orcs. You can never have too many Orcs. We have Gothmog here, and some more. I'm going to have a look at the sprue list. We have some Mordor Orcs, which is always cool, and a whole load of ruins. So there we are. We have a map. Now that's awesome. I may just well have to get that framed. I'm going to get that framed. That can go to the framers the next time we go. And then a load of bases. Just lift that out completely. Some more bases, some dice, some of the bigger bases, a measuring tool, and we have some more single-use plastic, so let's get rid of that. Okay, so here we have the booklet for the Battle of Osgiliath. So this comes with Faramir, Damrod and Madril, which is cool, and some Rangers of Gondor and some Warriors of Minas Tirith. And I'm presuming on the back it's going to tell me about the evil. Yes, it is. We have Gothmog, Mordor Troll and a bunch of Morannon Orcs. And inside this we've got some scenarios, which is good. Maybe I'll have to play through these. I say that every time I get a box and I never do it, but maybe I will. I would love to get more games in with Andrew and put them on the channel. Time is the thing, isn't it? Fall back to Minas Tirith. There we are. Oh, I need to do the smell test. Not bad. It is only a magazine. In here, this is the assembly guide, which is pretty cool, so that'll be very useful. Shows you also a little bit of a painting guide, a model showcase as it calls it. So yeah, how to do the ruins, how to assemble all the figures. And last but very much not least, this is like SBG 1.5. They've not actually changed the rules as much as far as I know, as much as incorporated the FAQs. So it's one of the things I really like about this. You hear a lot from 40k people talking about how it just changes every time. There's so many new additions and so much churn. You don't want that. You don't want churn. You want to have a game which is good and that you can continue to enjoy without having to outlay loads and loads of money. But having gathered all the FAQs together, that's cool. So, sniff test. Yeah, that's good. Not a bad sniff at all. So, I already have a book of this, but I don't have all the FAQs included, so of course that's awesome. So there we are, that's what's inside the new starter box. Very, very quick look. I will be assembling and painting, and I'll bring you along when I do that. I still have the first starter box I've not done anything with, so yeah, we'll see what 2023 brings. Maybe it'll bring a load more SBG content, I certainly hope so. And yeah, really good value for money, that. So after the success of my Buster month in 2022, for 2023 I'm going to print out a load more stuff from Printomancer, and my target isn't going to be as nicely titled as that, but I just want to print and paint everything from that Kickstarter. So first of all, I've got this, which is Ritual Dance. This, I mean, the good thing, these are actually the figures that correspond to the bust I did last year. So we've got the Ritual Dance, and we've got the Necromancer, I think, I'm not sure, I can't remember their names, and an awesome base that you can see there. So these are printed out. I'm slowly but surely printing my way through them. Haven't done any for a little while, but yeah, so that's going to be the challenge, that's going to be the target, and these are the first two that I'm going to do because they're the closest to ready to paint. But I'm not going to, I'm at the beginning in January, I'm not going to say I'm going to finish 2 or 3. I would like to finish 2 or 3. It would be nice to even finish this one here, which is the Fawn, which is another one that I did as a bust last year. So it'd be nice to maybe do these 3 in January. But I'm not going to set myself a crazy target like that. I have got some business I'm going away for at the end of January, so it may not be possible. But I'm going to get these primed, get started on them, and what I'll do is I will just update every month, once a month, at the end of the month, with what I've done that month and what I'm hoping to do the following month. But I'm going to turn down the pressure and turn up the fun, hopefully. And hopefully at the end of this year, well, next year, because it's not even 2023 yet, hopefully I'll have a whole load of these painted up and I'll have another really awesome display to go on the wall. So this is going really well, painting up Smaug. I did miss my initial deadline of getting it done for Christmas, obviously. But I decided that I didn't actually mind missing that. That doing it right was more important to me than rushing it. So yeah, I've done the brown undercoat, as I mentioned, and then on top of that brown I have done a kind of dry brush of old gold from Vallejo, and what I'm doing now is going to be painting the rest of the details in gold and other colours. So yeah, and this is actually my first time I'm using my arch light from Green Stuff World, and so this is going to be an interesting experience to see how I find it. Initially, I'm telling you, this is straight away, this is a lot better than I was having to deal with my other two lights. I'm getting an even lighting, and I'm getting light that doesn't have a shadow coming on it, so I'm very, very pleased so far. But I'm just this second, this is the first time I've sat down and painted with it. The actual dragon is also coming on nicely, but I've not done a whole lot more since the last time I showed you him, so I won't bother dragging him over. What I'm going to do is get the rest of these details painted, and yeah, then it'll be time for washes and finished up. I've got to paint Bilbo still, but hopefully that'll be quite quick because he's tiny. Might do another dry brush of the gold as well, but we shall see. Anyway, yeah, just thought a quick update on progress. Went quiet for a little bit because I was just painting away steadily every night, or not every night. I've been pretty bad at that actually, to be fair. But yeah, let's keep doing this, and I'll show you. I'll probably bring you back to film again when I'm working on Bilbo. Right, so I have done all of the masking tape on the bottom of these, and what we're now going to do, me and Rosie, is we're going to stick a figure to each of these bases, and the way we're going to do that is with my super sticky grabby glue. So what I'm going to do, Rosie, let's do this one, and let's zoom in.
I want to do this one.
You want to do that one? Okay, we'll zoom in a little bit. So what we're going to do, I'm going to put the glue, and you're going to go on the middle, okay? You're going to squish it in. So I'm going to put a bead of glue across, like this. There. Let's sit back, step back a bit there. Cool. And now you take this and squish it down upright. There we are. And then when that's done, I'll smooth it out a bit. And then we'll move on to the next one. And that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do for all of them, okay? Well, I'm going to do the glue. No, you can't do that. It'd be way too strong. It's too hard to pull. I'm going to do the glue, and we're going to do the squishing, and we're going to do them all. So, yeah, let's get to it. So we'll move that one out of the way, and we'll do the next one. So you can't stand still, can you? You're actually incapable of standing still. There we are. So we've got ourselves some glue. You take that one, and very carefully make sure you do it upright. Very good. There we are, you see. Squish that down. Right. Stand still on the stool, otherwise you might fall off and hurt yourself. So I'll do that. There we are. And then you take the next one and stick it on along the line. Doesn't matter which way around it goes, that's fine. There we are. Good.
And then it comes back.
And then the next one. So I'll turn the camera off now because it's all going to be the same again. But yeah, that's what we're going to do. And we'll do the same for the horses as well afterwards. Alright, so I've just finished up painting these figures here for SBG. And what I'm going to do is base them. And I'm going to do it in a slightly different way to what I normally do. So I thought I'd film this just for the fun. So if we zoom in a little bit more, what I'm going to do is take the super glue, put a couple of dobs on, because what I've found in the past with Luke's basing material is sometimes the stones just don't want to stick. So we're going to put a couple of blobs of super glue on, like that, if that can get in focus please. And then with some tweezers, I'm going to pull a stone out and set it on. And then when that's dried, then what I'll do is I'll come along with the normal basing glue and do the rest of it. Now you don't need to do this for any of the mixes that you get from him that don't have big stones in, obviously. But if you want to make the best use of some of these bigger stones, then I think this is going to be the trick. So let's see how well this works. I will bring you back when this is all dried, when I'm about to do the next step of the basing. But for now, there we are. We've got some nice stones on that base, and yeah, hopefully that'll work. So I'll bring you back when I get to the next step. Here we have the new Elrond Master of Rivendell box that comes with Elrond foot and mount, and also with a banner bearer, which is good because for my Rivendell Knights I'm in the middle of painting. I have a banner which I will need a dismount for, so that's really cool. So what I'm going to do, because I'm making such good progress downstairs with the with those aforementioned knights, I'm going to now work on Elrond. So let's have a quick look inside the box, try and get this single-use plastic off. I love it so much. There we are, managed it. So the box has got lovely cover art obviously, and on the back, should you use Games Workshop's Citadel paints, it's got some suggestions. So Armour Liberator Gold, Cygor Brown and Stormhost Silver, and Cloak Cantor Blue, Null Noil and Caldor Sky. So yeah, if you're those, but I use Vallejo, so yeah, I'll try to make a note of how I paint him actually. But yeah, let's have a quick look inside, see what comes in the box. So we have 3 bases, obviously, 1 for the horse and 2 for the foot. Got some fantastic art again, and inside this we have our assembly, which is going to be crazily simple. There's only 1 sprue, which I thought would be 2, but there's only 1 sprue. So you've got the horse here and here. We have the mount, I believe. So yeah, so we've got the backs of the fronts of the miniatures and the backs of the miniatures and heads. They have done their thing, haven't they? Again, where they've even got a separate foot. Sometimes Games Workshop can be a bit like this. We've got separate feet. I mean, that's just a little bit OTT, isn't it? Right, I'm going to start snipping, start gluing. I'll bring you along, show what it looks like. Looks to me like the first one in the instructions is Elrond, Master of Rivendell on foot, and then the High Elf Warrior with banner. So we'll do those 2 first. I will show you what they look like when they're done, and if there's anything that's particularly confusing, then I will turn the camera on and show you, but otherwise I'll just get these assembled now. This is a blast from the past. I will try to remember to put a link to the videos of me making these, but this was the White Tower build, which I had a lot of fun doing. And then what I did was I extended it with a little bit more terrain. Now my plan and my thinking about this project for the unofficial challenge on the TCU was to basically take this base and build out from it, but I brought it down just now to start cutting and measuring and get stuck into it. And what I've realised is it's just way too big for what I had planned, because what I had planned was to have so this lifts off, and what I'd planned was, as you can see, we've got a kind of a underground bit, and I plan to basically extend that into a warren within the hillside. But because of how shallow this is, you would end up with this big block, and I mean it could still work, but you'd end up with this big block with the sheer sides, which is very hard to deal with, and it wouldn't look quite so good on the tabletop, I don't think, as opposed to a hill which might rise quite a long way up, but at least there would be like maybe a switchback going up to the tower on the top. So I've got a decision to make now whether I'm going to try to still use the White Tower build, which I would like to do. The concept of the White Tower is that you actually have access via the tunnel, but of course when I did this I wasn't planning on making the base, and so I didn't actually build the access. And this is just air dry clay which I chopped up very early days of my hobby making. Still really awesome build. Well, whether I actually do something completely new, and I'm kind of drifting towards something completely new, to be honest, making use of all the skills I've learned, and just make it so that it fits together a bit better. So what you'd have is you'd have just the building lift off, which would mean that you wouldn't have this ugly lip, which I did my best at the time, but it still doesn't really marry up very well. So anyway, so I'm going to take this back to storage, but I thought having carried it downstairs, I thought I wouldn't waste that effort, and it's always nice to look at it. I mean, if I put a 28mm figure on, you can see just how big that really is. There's the one from Mike, a conquistador climbing the path up to the castle. So yeah, so I'm probably going to start from scratch. So I'm going to put this away, and then I'll bring down my XPS, and we'll start doing some sketching and some carving. So yeah, a little bit of a false start, but a cool one nonetheless. All right, this is going to be big. So what you see here, I've got 4 sheets of this Fibran XPS, and I just thought I'd sit and look at it for a little bit, and also show you how this is going to join. These are stepped. So what I'll be doing is each section, it'll be splittable into, each layer will be split in 2, and will be joined up by basically keeping the steps together, which is going to make it a lot easier for me. Also, if we have a look at the thickness, if I get my little figure again, you can see that the thickness of this, if I can actually make it so you can see the little figure, there we are. The thickness of this is actually plenty for a 38mm figure. So if I zoom in on that, you can see there that each of those sheets is thick enough that I can build a tunnel out, or route out through these, and that will give me enough room to put a miniature in, and then put the next layer on, and not worry about it getting squished. You're not going to have any horse riders in there at the depth, unless I do a cavern, which I might do. There are multiple layers which have height, but you're not going to be able to get through the tunnels without while you're on horseback, and that's kind of like part of the design. So how am I going to do this? And there's a question I'm asking myself. I've just been down and I don't have enough plywood or other kind of hardboard materials to do a base that I then stick cutout shapes on, which is kind of a shame, but is also not a shame, because that will take longer and be more expensive. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to route out the tunnels into the XPS, and have the floor of the XPS be the floor of the tunnel. So each layer will be one level of this kind of like tunnel system, and then on the outside I will have it being contoured up so that it's a hill. So the idea will be that the hill will rise up, and there will be the castle on top, which is obviously what was going to be the White Tower, but I'll do a different one. I might just do a single tower, I'm not sure. So there'll be a castle on top, and then there'll be a tunnel below the castle, and there'll be access points for maybe 2 or 3 caves, and then there'll be some kind of a walking kind of area inside the hill. So let's just move these 2 off. Okay, so this is going to be my ground floor, and so what I'm going to need to do is shape in from the sides, and if I'm going to cut the lip off on this side and have cliffs, so it's going to be quite a traditional kind of like looking stronghold where you have a good access point, maybe a snaking road up, like I've said, and then cliffs on at least 2 sides. So I'll probably do cliffs at the far end and have it smoothed up from here, and probably the only area which will have anything underneath is going to be towards the back. So what I'm going to do now, I'll move the camera, put it so that I can walk around a little bit, and I'm going to draw on this with a pen, and then I'll bring it back when I've made my mind up. I'll be using knives and hot wire on this to do the cutting. So, but yeah, I'm just gonna kind of have a little bit of a draw. So I'll put some music on and you can watch. Right, so that was fun. So I've done a little bit of contoury type things. I'll just talk you through my idea. So from this corner, this is where the main path is going to go, and it will zigzag kind of like on the next level. It will go up here and then turn and zigzag up. Then we can see we've got some contour lines, so this shows how it's going to be a smoother here, and then it's going to go into a cliff edge, like I say, around here. At that far end, we're going to have a waterfall. That's what I've scribbled over there. And then it will go around also as cliffs. I may do a little bit of a gully there, so that might end up being having some contour lines kind of around here as well. So have a gully, have a chute coming down here, and then it'll come to us another area here which is a little bit smoother, and then we're going to have a short cliff here, and that cliff will probably have a tunnel entrance in it halfway up. So that's what I've come up with. What I'm going to do now is work out what tools I'm going to use to make these initial cuts. I do have my very expensive hot wire cutter, and I've got my very cheap hot wire cutter, but I'm wondering whether I'll just go for a bread knife. So just go for a sharp knife. But I'll just have a bit of a think about that, and I'll bring you back when I start doing the cutting. Alright, so I've decided to go for the hot wire cutter, the ProBalTeam.de Styro Cutter Profi, whatever that is. But what that's going to mean, I'm going to put some music on. I'm not going to chatter because it makes a noise as it's going, and it's probably going to take me a little while anyway. So yeah, so I'm just going to carve away as much as I can of this. The reason I'll turn that off a second. The reason I've decided to do that is I really want these to marry up nicely. So at the moment, as you can see, I've got them butted up against the wall so they can keep them nice and straight. So I'm going to come in from here, and I'm going to get this cliff cut and try to go round to basically around here in pretty much one go. So yeah, I'll put some music back on and get this cut done, and then we'll have a look and see what it looks like when that's finished. Well, as you saw, I started off using the hot wire cutter, but I've gone back to the Mark 1 knife just because it's more controllable, it doesn't stink as much. But that was relatively successful. I've managed to make quite a lot of progress on that. I'm going to continue hacking away. I'm going to turn the camera off now. I'm going to continue hacking away with the knife and get both of these sections done. And then when that's all cut, I'll bring you back, and then we'll work out how the hell we're going to do the next section, which is always the challenge for doing this, is having different layers and not having it too obvious, especially with smooth layers. But yeah, it was a very expensive purchase, that. I'm going to definitely use it for when I'm cutting out my actual paths inside the mounting, because it's got a really good routing tool. So I'll use it for that, but I think for this it's just not right. Right, so this morning Rosie and I went for a lovely walk, didn't we? That was very careless. Don't poke yourself with the stick.
Sorry.
Good girl. Yeah, we went for a nice walk this morning, didn't we, love?
Yeah, but
It was really fun, and we each picked up two things. So well, actually I picked up one thing. I picked up this, and Rosie picked up a stick, a bit of stone and some moss. And we're going to make some scatter terrain out of it. That was a nice little walk, and I thought let's incorporate it into our hobby time. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the tree. So I have my grabby Moment Fix Extreme, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to build that up on top of this metal washer.
like that.
Yeah, so we're going to do that. Wait for it. We're going to put loads on. and then I'm going to smush it down. And we already know our little parts, don't we? So I'm going to do the smushing, like that.
And I'm going to do the sticking.
You're going to do the sticking, yes you are. And what I'm actually going to do before I do anything else is I'm going to get a thing to put these on, because it's going to be a bit difficult for us to work. So let's just get this tray. That will make it a bit easier. There we are. So I'm going to, okay, patience.
Please.
Patience, little bobbit. So this is going to dry nicely. And what you're going to do is basically put that down in the middle of it. Press it in and leave it. And hopefully it's going to stay up. And if it doesn't, we're going to have another think. Right, so can you hold that so it's upright? And I'm going to get something to help it stay upright. So we're going to get ourselves a clamp. Steady. And that's going to hold it upright, you see. Hopefully.
No,
Wait for it. No, we haven't finished yet. We haven't finished yet. This isn't working very well, Rosie. This is another thing to learn. It's another thing to learn. Not all the ideas work out. So, wait for it. Daddy's just trying to work something out here.
I love moss.
There we are. That's going to hold up right. Look. Isn't that good? Don't touch that. Don't touch that. So the next step is, these aren't actually going to be stuck in yet. All I'm going to do, and you can do the mushing, so put that down. And you can do the spreading around. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on this. Like that. And what I need you to do is, like I did on there, just kind of spread it around. Okay, like that.
Okay.
Can you do that? No, on this one. Just spread it around. It's a bit funny feeling, isn't it? And I'll get some more glue on these. Just make it all smooth as you can make it, like mounded towards the middle. That's very good. And I'll do this one. And you can do the last one. There we are. Very good. And what we'll do is, when these ones are dry, then we'll paint them and we'll do some texture on them. Here, can you finish that one off for me? Just smush it around again. Once they're dry, we will paint them and we'll add texture, and then we'll glue our different items on top. Very good. Right, let's scrape off your finger onto the edge. And there. Don't worry, this dries off and it just rubs off, so don't worry, it's not a bad thing to have on. And there we are. So that is a new project that we're doing with Rosie. Don't touch them. Don't touch them now. They're finished. We're going to let them dry, and we will have a nice tree. Don't put it on yet. No, we need to paint it first. Don't put it on your clothes. Goodness me. Don't rub it on your clothes. Almost, Mummy will kill us. Rub it with your hands like this, watch. And it will just go on the floor and I'll sweep it up. So rub it off with your hands.
Very hard.
It's very hard, yes. But yeah, so yeah, we'll let that dry and we'll come back and finish it off another time. Right, so Rosie's not going to do very much of this, but she insisted I filmed, so she's right here. What we're going to use is we're going to use rally spray paint, because we've got metal, and I'm going to prime these like this. Okay. Do you want to do a little bit?
Oh, it smells
It's stinky. It doesn't smell lovely. It smells stinky. So wait a second. Turn it round. And we're only going to do these 4, and then you're going to get out of this room, and I'm going to do the rest on my own. So you press that. You see? And it sprays paint. It's called spray paint.
No, I don't want to go out of this room.
Okay, well you're going to have to step back because it's very stinky. So I'm going to do the rest of it. You're going to step back and we'll get them all primed. And then when we come to painting, we'll bring people back. It doesn't smell lovely. It's naughty to like that smell. Oh dear. No, you're not going to get addicted to aerosols. That's not happening.
I like it.
Oh dear. Right, so I've managed to get these assembled. Oh, relatively easy to put together. No particular issues. The hardest part was putting his feet on the mounted version, which is just ridiculous. I mean, having separate feet, what's the point in that? It is an addiction that Games Workshop have with their plastic figures, is making them too multi-part. But anyway, they're assembled, so I'm going to get them primed and painted up, and I'll show you what they look like when they're done. I did this off camera because it was very much a learning experience, and it was quite a difficult process as well. However, I've just about managed to get the second layer done, as you can see, it pretty much lines up. There's a little bit of an issue there, but it pretty much lines up, and it'll be good enough for what I'm doing. So what I've decided to do, one of the hardest things was the fact that this was such a shallow slope, which I wanted to do, but I'm now going to change so that it's going to go to a cliff and have a little bit more of a stepped appearance and be a bit less smooth. I've added in another area here where I might do a little bit of a waterfall coming down, which would be quite nice. But yeah, it was just basically hacked away out with my knife, and I've left this here to cut off later. It's helping me to keep it even and straight, so I think I'm going to continue to leave these little keys on the end and then cut them all down together. But yeah, happy enough with how it's going, so I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to do any cutting now because I don't have time, but I'll bring you along when I do the next level, which is the other side of this actually. I'm going to do the other half of this first double layer, just show you how I've gone about getting it cut down. I also did want to mention the reason why the hot wire cutter was such a bad idea for this material is this is very, very flame resistant and heat resistant. And so I had to have the hot wire cutter way too hot. You can see it's melted oddly in places, and you could see all of the smoke that was coming out of it as well. And that was it's just not the right material to use a hot wire cutter on. So using a knife on this is much, much better. So yes, I'm going to continue using a knife. I'm going to need a bigger one because this one was a little bit small as well at times. So I might have to get a bigger knife. But yeah, at least I've got the second layer, proven the point, and should be able to now relatively quickly build up all the rest. And once I've built up all of the contours and know roughly what the hill looks like, then I'll start to cut in the actual paths or the holes for the tunnel and the caves, and then we can start to actually put the exterior on. So that's the order that this build is going to go in. So yeah, when I get time, probably hopefully later today, I'll show you what it looks like when I've finished doing the other side of this layer. Right, so I finished painting up the figure, the rider, and you can see that sits on there really, really nicely. So what I'm going to do now is glue it in place. So just get some super glue, put some super glue down, get rid of the dog hair, put some super glue down those little slots there and sit her in place. I had a balance before I moved her over here. Sit her in place like that, and then hopefully, oh, there we are, hopefully that will stick, and that's done. There we are, good. So pleased with that. Really simple base, but I think it looks awesome. Absolutely love it. And I'm pleased that I changed the figure. I think that figure suits much, much better. So another project, SBG. This has come out of conversations with the guy that I'm going to do doubles with at Ardicon, Ben. Very, very much looking forward to it. So I'm going to be making up the Great Eagles, and our list is going to be Radagast on Eagle, plus an Eagle, and then Beorn, and then the King of Eagles, whose names I've got, has just gone from me, the Windlord, and that's our list. So I did the Windlord, made that relatively recently, painted that up, so that's done, and I've got a Beorn. But what I'm going to do now is basically, throw those around. Clear bases, that's interesting. Not seen clear bases before. So basically what I'm going to do, is assemble these, paint them up, and I'm going to get another box as well, because I have 4, because I want to convert one Beorn, which I bought. Here he is. So I bought an extra Beorn, and I'm going to convert it to Beorn to be riding on one of my Eagles as well, just for the fun of it. So that's all going to be part of the same project. So I'll have some more Great Eagles arriving, which I'll assemble, but I'm going to do one of these with Beorn on it, and one of them for Radagast, which I don't have yet either, so that's going to be coming in the same order. So yeah, we have 2 sprues. They're identical sprues. They look relatively simple to put together. So I will get these cleaned up and cut out and washed, and then we will And then yeah, I'll show you what it looks like when they're assembled. And if I have any problems, as per usual in assembly, I will point out those problems, but looking at it, it looks relatively easy. I hope I don't regret that. Alright, so I've come down with something today, feeling absolutely dreadful. I'm going to try to do a little bit of this, but I may not do all of it. So what we've got here is I've got my other sheet, and I've turned the bottom one upside down. So this is the bottom, this is the top. And I'm just taking the Sharpie, and you can see I made a mistake when I first did it, when I did my first attempt. This is why I made did a practice run. And I'm just going to run that around as much as I can to highlight where the edge of the of this high ground, as it is, actually exists. And then, if we shift the camera somewhat, just a second. So what you can see here, this is where the overhang is, so where the slope goes up, and as I said, this is what's causing me the biggest pain, because trying to get in here and draw along the edge is incredibly difficult. So what I've decided to do for this is not worry about that. I'll just go around behind the camera and show you. So basically I'm just going to cut a more conservative line, so as far in as I can get it, but not worry about following the line completely. And that will give me an opportunity to at least remove some of the excess that we don't need. So it's a case of sticking your pen in and kind of hoping that you make marks, but not worrying too much about having them continuous. Like that. And it's not very easy. So once you've done as much of that as you can, I can just draw a line across there, and that's what I'm going to cut out. So it's important for me to know which line to cut, because I've got two. I made a mistake, and I'm pretty sure that I'm cutting the inner line. I am. So I'm cutting the inner line here, just around here. I'm going to cut the inner line here and the inner line all the way around. So what I'll do is I will just get rid of the pen, adjust the camera, and get the knife. So here we are. We have two lines, like I say. But what I'm doing is I'm cutting the inner line. So it's this one here. So I went a little bit over here. So I just need to make sure to cut the inner line. Yeah, like that. So as I said, I'm keeping the key. So I will just cut that out. And you can see just how much easier this is with the knife than with the hot wire cutter. And what I'm going to do is basically follow this around and cut it out. So I will put some music on and you can watch. And this is quite physical. So like I say, I may not finish it because I'm really feeling quite dreadful. And so, what we can do now is hold the two together, turn it over, and we have a pretty good match, I'd have said. Yeah, very good. So what we now are going to do, and this might take a couple of minutes and might destroy me, what we're now going to do is we're going to start carving out the contours. Now, like I've said already, I'm not really wanting to have this sort of contour too much because, as you just saw, the whole huge pain it is. But I do have the path that I want to have coming up here. So I'm going to have a path. I'm going to have it in a little divot here, and then I'm going to have a rope ladder or some steps or something that I'll put in, which will enable it to go up the next levels. It's not going to be a clear finished path. It's just going to be a rough path with stones and what have you. It'll be a walking only path, but we're going to need to cut this out, and this is the last bit for this clip. So we've got this massive overhang where I wasn't able to match up. So all I'm going to do here, and this is pretty obvious really, is come along and hack it off. This side is a little bit difficult because I'm right-handed. Right, so that took some effort. But what you can see is we pretty much have that nailed down now. There's a little bit more cleaning up to be done on the other end, but this is the hard thing. So I've got the path coming up here. Just going to shave that corner off a bit actually. Make that a bit more of a natural curve. Yeah, so we've got the path coming up here, and then we've got a big step, and I'll be able to fill that in with rocks so that it looks at least scrambleable for a human. And for the next level, the path can keep going up the hill. I'm going to use the technique for making the cliffs look more natural after I've finished all of this, so I'm not going to do that now. But it does make a right mess. I'll be saving most of this material for use on another project. But I'll get it tidy up, get the two sections I've done together, and I'll show you what it looks like now. Well, there it is together. I think it looks really good. But I'm not going to do any more now. I've just been away, had my tea, had my dinner, seen Rosie to bed. I just thought I'd come and set this up, and now I'm going to go to bed myself. So I've got quite a high temperature and a sore throat, so hopefully tomorrow will be a lot better. There might be some more trimming to be done over here, I think. But I'm pretty happy with it. I might trim that down just a little bit more, I'm not sure, but other than that the actual shape is awesome. The couple of little cuts that I've got are nice and interesting. And yeah, it'll be a really interesting thing on the table. Big, but then don't do things by halves, eh? Go big or go home. Well, I managed to get these put together, and they go together pretty well. They're not that difficult. You can see that there is going to be some filling to be done over here on this one particularly, but they're pretty easy to put together. A bit of filling on the back of that one as well. So to fill that, I will be using my Mr. Wherever it is, can't find it. I will not be using green stuff. Here it is. Sorry for the bad planning. I'll be using my Mr. Dissolved Putty from Mr. Hobby, which I apply with a toothpick. And then smooth out with my finger, and if my voice stays, then I'll try to record that. But my voice is a bit better now. I lost it completely today, but it is a bit better now. But anyway, they went together nicely. So get those filled and then primed and then painted. The interesting part in this project is going to be basing, because I don't want it to be sat on the clear. What's it? I'm going to do a proper scenic base, I think. So yeah, that's going to be the thing that will be the most fun. So I'll probably just get these painted up and then bring you back when I come to do the basing. I do also have 2 more of these on the way. So yeah, I'll end up with 4 of these. Well, this arrived yesterday, but I was so sick that I couldn't really even look at it, and I'm still not great today, as you can hear. But this is Pocket Landship, which is a Kickstarter that I backed. It was due in September, so that's actually not too late. And yeah, it's relatively nicely packed. I've got some, that's the cardboard pack to put the cards in. These are the cards. It's got a little dice tray, which is pretty cool, just one that kind of clips together. Nice and small as well, so it doesn't take up too much space on the tabletop. Will be very useful for other games, potentially at Ardacon. Take that with me, because it's nice and small, so you can roll your dice in there. And then, last but not least, we have this. So let me get the single-use plastic off. Managed it. That wasn't very easy. So we've got the rules, and we've got bunch of dice, and we've got a bunch of cards. So I have very little idea what this game is about. I bought it because it's small and good for travelling. This year I've got lots of travelling, so these games will come with me on my travels. So I will have a read through this and try to get a bit onto the channel about it, about how to play it, maybe do a little bit of a playthrough. But yeah, they arrived on time. As you can see, it's very, very small, so taking this on a carry-on only plane is going to be very easy, and hopefully it's going to be a lot of fun to play. Well, being sick truly does suck, and it is now New Year's Day morning, January the 1st. So again, Happy New Year to everyone. I hope that you have a fantastic 2023.
I did want to say that rather than doing 20 minutes a day every day this coming year, which I did last year and managed to do quite well with, I've got a very busy year there coming up. There's even going to be a couple of weeks where there's no vlog because I'm travelling a lot. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to track every model that I paint to finish, and I'm going to just see how many I get done in a year. So if you want to join in, let me know, and let me know your counts in the comments of my vlogs. That'd be awesome. I'll probably do a summary at the end of each month to see how many I've done that month. So yeah, if you want to join in this friendly little motivational thing, then that'd be cool. Anyway, my voice is going to go and I want to go and lie down. So thank you so much for watching, particularly if you made it this far. I really appreciate it. And as I'm currently saying, and I hope I can stop this year, if any of you are directly or indirectly impacted by the horrendous war in Ukraine, then my thoughts go out to you and anyone you know who maybe can't believe 2023 and they're still going crazy. And to everyone, please do stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well.